Hi, I'm Dina Wakley, and I'm really excited to share with you my new pouring medium. This has been in the works for a long time, and we at Ranger are all obsessed with it. So we have been chomping at the bit to get this ready to go for you. Now, what's pouring medium? It is a fluid medium that you mix with Dina Wakley Media Acrylic to make it extremely fluid and do pouring. So if you haven't heard of pouring, you must be living under a rock, because everybody and their dog and their cat have been pouring, and it's super fun. And who needs to do laundry anyway? Your family doesn't need to eat. We just need to pour all day. You'll see how addicting it is. So here's what you're going to get. You can get the pouring medium in 8-ounce jar, or a little 4-ounce jar with the Cell Creator. What is Cell Creator? Cell Creator is this little additive that you can add to your colors after you've mixed them with pouring medium, and it changes their density. And that's how you create cells and cool effects. So this is essential. It's really, really fun. And you can also get a little accessory set, bottles to mix and store and have finer application. Instead of just dumping it out, you can put it in these bottles and have more precise application. I laughed that the copy said, this is for controlled and mess-free application. That made me laugh because I'm not capable of mess-free. So mileage may vary. And then you can also get mixing cups. So these are super helpful because a little bit of pouring medium makes a lot of pours. And you mix your colors in here. If you just let them dry, I don't even wash them out. It's plasticky and I don't want it to stick to the pipes. I just let it dry, and then they're completely hard and I can use them again and again and again. And you get little spatulas too for mixing. At first, when I was doing this, I was mixing with the end of my paintbrushes. Doesn't cut it. You need to mix with the spatula. So that's what's in the program. Are you ready to do some pouring? Let's go. All right, let's do some pouring. You're going to want to set yourself a little pouring station. So this is the lid of a copy box, and this is a messy process. And so in my hands, it's even worse. I'm sure you can find people's different systems for pouring, but a box like this is really helpful. The bottom of the box, I put a large piece of watercolor paper that I tore out of the big journal because there's a lot of overspill that happens, and I definitely want to capture that and maybe still use it for something. And I'm using the mixing cups that you can get to mix the medium. And so I've filled each cup about half full with pouring medium to start. Now these cups are reusable. So this pouring medium, it will dry on anything. So on these plastic cups, I've used these ones in the past, there is dried medium and color pigment, Dina Wakley acrylic in there, and they are completely dry, okay? And so if you just let them dry out, you can use them again and again and again. I chose 4 new ones for this just to show you that they are clear and new when you get them, but don't toss them, reuse them as much as you can. This jar, this mason jar, I use for dirty pours, and I'll explain that in a minute, but even the pouring medium in acrylic has dried on this glass. Like, that is solid dry. So I can keep using this, and it looks really cool, doesn't it? So that's my dirty pour jar. And I've got about, like I said, about half full. You can mix as much as you want. You can do a little or a lot. I will tell you what I've mixed here is a lot. I will get a lot of mileage. The great thing about this is you just play and practice. The general recommendation is 4 parts pouring medium to 1 part acrylic. Now I find that the fresher your paint, the easier it is to mix. Because remember, Dina Wakley Media paint is a heavy body, which means it's got a body and a thickness to it. And so you're going to have to work a little bit to get that paint mixed completely. If you don't get it mixed all the way, what happens is you end up with paint boogers, little blobs. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it is a little bit annoying because you do want it to be as smooth as you can get it. So you're going to want to, make sure you mix it really, really well. So I'm using the newest colors I have, and then a magenta. If you have a lot of paint that you haven't used in a long time, it will be harder to mix. You can get these great little stirring accessory. This comes with the cups, these little spatulas. And see how that one's mixing really well, because that's a newer color for me. Well, magenta's not a new color, but that's a new bottle of paint. Okay. Sweet, delicious. Now, if you want to, you can mix all your colors and you can pour them in these little accessory bottles that you can get. And then that way you can store them. You can mix a lot at one time, and then you have that tip that you can dispense from. And so instead of just pouring straight from the cup, you can actually, you know, put finer amounts of acrylic and medium down there. So up to you. Notice I'm not changing my spatula as I go because I'm Dina. I'm wiping it on my apron because that's how I roll. I think this is fun. Now, I just want you to remember that color theory will apply, meaning these colors will be mixing and floating with each other and creating interesting effects. But, you know, there's no getting away from physics. And the physics of color is that opposites will make brown. And so if you mix opposites, you may eventually make brown, depending on how they go together. I find that you're not quite in so much danger with this as you are with something like watercolor, because the way these mix, sometimes they're next to each other and not completely intermingling, so sometimes you can get away with it. But just play and practice. What's the worst that happens? An ugly piece? Listen, I'll be doing videos later to show you what I do with all my ugly pours. And a day of ugly pouring is better than a day doing your laundry, so, you know, take it for what it's worth. So get your colors mixed. Again, if you want to pour these in the storage bottles, the dispensary bottles, you're totally welcome to do that. I'm not going to today just for brevity, for time, but you certainly can do that. Look how nice that mixes up though. Look at that deliciousness. Oh, that's olive. So this is olive, eggplant, Sedona, peacock, and then I threw in a little magenta just to brighten it up because this is a fairly earthy palette for me. And a little magenta always makes things better. I've learned too, I also like a little night and a little white in my pours, so I'm gonna do without it for this video, but I often like a little night or a little white or something like that in the pours. Okay, now what can you pour on? We have seen from the plastic mixing cups and the glass mason jar that the answer is yes. You can pour on anything. You can pour on canvas, wood. It would be a hot mess in your journal because it would spill over the edge, but you could do it. I challenge you. You could pour on paper, tags, media board is the bomb to pour on, especially because you can then cut the pieces for journal covers if you want. This is just the 5x7 piece from the assorted pack, I believe. And it's flexible and easy to pour on, and it doesn't, you know, it's not as expensive as a giant canvas. So, you know, pour on everything. Nothing is safe. Look around your house, but definitely all the substrates that you already have in your house you can pour on. Okay. Another thing that I think helps a little bit with pouring is to kind of prop up your substrate. And so I'm just going to use my gesso jar right here and my ultra thick gel medium jar right here. And I'm going to put this on top like that. Now this is already bending a little bit. So put it like that. No gesso required. Even when I pour on wood panels, I don't bother gessoing. You really, I mean, this stuff is so sticky. Gesso's what? Gesso's a primer to give tooth. This has got tooth, baby. This will stick to your fingernails for days. So don't worry about that. Okay, so then you pour, oh, I forgot the most important thing, Cell Creator. Okay, so let me rewind for 1 second. I can't believe I almost forgot that. So let me put these back in the center. Now, Cell Creator is important because if you pour with these, you get a cool effect. You get an interesting, you know, cool, let me show you one that I've done with no Cell Creator, okay? So there's cat hair on there, shocker. So there's no Cell Creator in this one. And it looks cool. It's marbled. It's hecka cool, right? Now what's magical about Cell Creator though is this will change the density of your paints and your pouring medium so that cells are created. And cells are often desirable when you pour. Now, what do I mean by cells? If you look at this one here, to see how, let me see if I can tell what I'm pointing at. See how the turquoise or peacock is on the bottom, eggplant's on the top. See the tiny little dots coming through? Okay? They look like a cross-section of cells from biology. That's why we call them cells. Well, we don't call them that. That's what they are called. That is a cell. And if you ever, really research pouring, some artists who use different mediums to create cells, they will heat their work with butane torches and do all this stuff. That's more serious than I ever want to be, really, in my studio. I tend to be a simple creature. So the Ranger chemist figured out a way to create cells without having to apply a butane torch or anything like that. So the bottom line is you want the density of your paint colors to vary. And that is what will make interesting cells. And that's where Cell Creator comes in. And you can put in just a couple of drops per color, or maybe not even in all the colors. Just put Cell Creator in a couple and then watch how they interact. And I can't really give you advice for how much to use and if you should put it in all or none. You just have to play and see what you like. I'm going to put it in a few of mine. I'm going to put it in the eggplant. Now I tend to overdo with the Cell Creator, which is why my cells are itty bitty tiny. See those tiny cells? If you want them to be bigger, try not to, put in quite so much. I'm going to do 3 drops there in eggplant. Let's see, in magenta, I'm going to do 5 drops, maybe 6, 7. Now, if you are someone that, is statistical and you pay attention to these things, you might want to, maybe keep a chart. 1 drop looks like this, 2 drops look like this. And if you do that, will you email it to me? And let me know, because, that would take effort on my part, and I'm not very mathematical. So once you put the Cell Creator in there, I put a little bit in Sedona too, just 2 drops. I'm going to stir it up. You're just changing the density. I've tried putting rubbing alcohol in to change the density. It doesn't work that good. I've tried putting a little water in. It does change the density, but it doesn't create cells, I will tell you that. Okay, which other one did I put it in? I put it in the magenta. Now, we're calling the Cell Creator cinnamon because we scented it with cinnamon. So it also smells good. All right. I'm already spilling it. Shocker! Okay. Because I've mixed so much medium, I'll have enough for a dirty pour at the end, but the other cool thing about it is I can do a lot of pouring while with that. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot. Okay, I've got a big pile of media board here. See that? Ready to go? Okay, so now I'm going to start. And what should you start with? The answer is yes. Just go. Just start. So what if I just pour a little down the middle? And it's going to spill over the edge, and you want it to. You can kind of pick it up and move it. Let's put a little Sedona. I often recommend for people to try Sedona with eggplant, and they're like, what? Sedona and eggplant? Sedona's kind of a burnt orange. Oh, look, my cells are already starting. I don't know if you can see that. See how my cells are already beginning? I love it. Maybe go move it this direction. So if you have these in your little your bottles, it's kind of fun because you really can get a more detailed application. I'm gonna take my spatula and drag it through. What happens if I do that? So you'll see the colors, instead of mixing like they would if you have watery acrylic, they sit on top of each other until you mix them too much. And then, eventually you may mix them too much, and then that's when your mud begins. But I'm getting some cool cells. I don't know if the video is picking them up. I'm going to hold it up higher. Can you see those cells happening there? The lighting might be bad. Looks cool. Okay, let's do some bright pink for kicks. That was a lot, Dina. Oh yeah, I'm getting good cells there. You can flick it with color. Okay, I'm in love with it already. Okay, I'm going to hold hold that peacock up so you can see the cells. Isn't that cool? I'm gonna pull it this way. I've learned too, if you leave it somewhere to dry and it's not quite level, interesting things will happen sometimes that you don't expect. They always look really different when they're dry too, which is fascinating to me. Okay, I super love it. There's one. You can totally muck about with it. What do you think? The cells will continue creating. I'm going to put this aside in a different box I have for drying. I will tell you that this medium is glue. I have glued together wood panels that I thought I could put near each other. Oh my goodness, they were so glued. There was no resurrecting them. It was kind of funny, but I even broke the wood panels and gave myself splinters trying to separate them. Okay, I'm going to add more cell creator just for kicks. And here's my spatula. Okay, it's doing really cool things down here where it's spilling. I don't know if I can move that. Can you see right there? Isn't that cool? Okay. So see how you can play for hours and just see what happens and get together with your friends and do different colors and different combinations of cell creator and substrates. Oh, awesome! Look at that! Is that not thebomb.com? Okay, so you get the idea for that one, that version, right? Let's do a dirty pour. I'm just going to kind of smush that. Also, a word of warning, if you put your finger in one of these to see if it's dry, and if it's not dry, your finger will be immortalized forever in your piece, just FYI. Okay, that one was awesome. Let me put this aside. Super fun. Okay, dirty pour. What a dirty pour is, you put in a vessel all of your colors layered. And there might be an order in which you're supposed to do them. I don't know what that order is. I just pour them in. Kind of creating layers of color. I sure have a lot of Sedona left, don't I? Dump it all in there. And then I'm going to go get a large substrate because that is so much medium. I'm going to be able to cover a very big piece. Look how cool my underlayer looks though. Like I can let that dry and magic will happen, baby. Okay, so I've got, what's making me laugh is on top of my prop, which is my gesso or gel medium jar, I've got cells happening. How cool is that? Oh my gosh. My family doesn't need to eat today, right? I'm just gonna pour all day long. Okay, so I have a really a larger piece, 9x12 piece of media board here. I'm going to hold this jar like this. I'm going to put this on top, and then I'm going to flip it. I'm going to lay it on top of my supports, and then I'm just going to lift it up. And I'm going to, oh, the cells are incredible. I'm going to let it be whatever it is. However it ends up is how it ends up. Look at that. Dirty pours they're always my favorite. They create so many unexpected effects and people will say, how'd you do that? Dirty pour. Oh my goodness, look at that. Okay, that looks like the inside of a Jawbreaker. You know, the Jawbreaker candies when you were little and you would suck it and you'd keep spitting it out of your mouth to see what color it was now. Honestly, that's what this looks like. So I hope this gave you some tips and tricks and ideas to start with your pouring. And please share what you do in the Dina Wakley Media Tribe on Instagram. Please participate and show us your media. We absolutely adore seeing your work. It is one of the highlights of our month, actually. I follow that hashtag. I follow Show Us Your Media on Instagram, so whenever you post something, it shows up in my feed, and I really love it. So pour away, babies. Can't wait to see your art.